Good afternoon and Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. Our session today is called Visual Literacy Strategies and Tools to Engage and Inspire English Language Learners. Whether you are here to explore new ideas, add some tools to your teaching toolbox, or just to get inspired, you are in the right place. So thank you for joining us. Just a couple housekeeping items. Feel free to use the chat box to share your thoughts and ask questions as we go along. A quick note before we begin, your microphones are muted and you will be in listen-only mode during today's session. And this presentation is being recorded and will be archived on the IPDE website. You can access it within 48 hours if you would like to revisit any part of it or share it with your colleagues. All right, so let me go ahead and officially introduce myself. I am Dr. Daisy Shaw from Palm Beach County, and I will be your facilitator today. I work as a specialist with the Department of Adult and Community Ed at the School District of Palm Beach County. And I also work as an adjunct professor at Florida Atlantic University. So everything that I'm about to share with you today comes directly from the classroom. All right, so let's get the presentation going. Okay, let's warm up the chat a little bit. In the chat box, go ahead and tell me where are you joining us from today and what's it looking like outside your window right now? Are you seeing sunshine, snow, rain, or something else? Where are you joining us from and what is the weather looking like out there? You're going to utilize the chat box to let us know. We have people joining us from PA and Georgia, Illinois. Okay. Nice. All right, so all my Florida people, I am with you. It's a beautiful day out. It's 70 degrees, such a beautiful day out. Everyone else that's cold and you were having a snow day. We've got a beautiful day down here in South Florida today. Just gonna leave it at that. All right, thank you guys for participating. I'm gonna move right along and go on to the next slide. So let's talk about me, right? So to help my students practice using their school email, I assign an engaging task during the first week. So basically, they email me a picture of something meaningful from their country or culture. This allows them to practice sending emails, attaching a document, and enhancing their digital literacy skills. The next day, I turn this into a fun and interactive activity. I project the pictures one by one, and we do a simple show and tell session. So students share a few sentences about their picture, creating a relaxed and enjoyable way to learn about each other while building confidence in their communication skills. So we're also sharpening those presentation and public speaking skills like pros. And after each stellar presentation, it's Q&A time. So the audience gets to fire off those burning questions for some juicy follow-up discussion. And now, obviously, I do not have the time to, I can't have you all do a 5-minute presentation right now. But at this time in the chat box, go ahead and feel free to share one fun fact about your place of birth or culture. Again, you are going to share one fun fact about your place of birth or culture in the chat box. Go. Monique says, my hometown has the second McDonald's ever. Okay. Machu Picchu is one of the world's wonders. That's right. Grew up in a jungle of Argentina, no electricity nor running water. Wow. Jimmy Buffett grew up there. Okay. Mark Twain lived there. Wow. Being a military brat, I'm from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Oh. We kiss on both cheeks when greeting each other. Rio. Miami, great beaches. Yep. Those are some really interesting facts. Now, if I were in the classroom and if I had all the time in the world, I would ask you guys so many follow-up questions and we would be having this discussion or conversation all day long. We walk you to your car when you leave our home and keep talking. Okay. Puerto Rican food is the best. Yep. Born in Cameroon, Central Africa. Great food and wonderful culture. Yep. Siberia, very cold. Yes, absolutely. Quite the opposite of sunny South Florida. Okay, well, thank you guys for sharing. I appreciate that. I mean, again, I have so many questions, but I'm gonna have to move right along here. Um, so here's just a picture of my students sharing interesting facts about their native countries or cultures. So this is how I basically do it in the classroom. Okay. And since it's still early in the new year, here's another fun twist on the show and tell activity. You can ask your students to email you a picture representing something they want to achieve this year, like a New Year's resolution, basically. Then compile their pictures into a PowerPoint or Google Slides, whatever works best for you, with each picture on a separate slide. And during class, project the images one at a time and turn it into a guessing game, right? So basically, step one would be to ask the class to guess who the picture belongs to. And then step two, say after 2 or 3 guesses, invite the student who submitted the picture to reveal themselves and share a bit about their goal or resolution. This version adds an interactive and engaging element while giving students a chance to practice speaking and building connections with their peers. Okay, so that's another way to do it. I actually just did this in my class earlier last week. And so obviously it doesn't snow in South Florida, but I like to do a fun snowball fight activity in the classroom as well. So go ahead and let me know in the chat box if you are familiar with the snowball fight activity or if you've ever tried it with your students. Give me a quick yay or nay. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of nays. That's fine. That's what you're here for. Okay, so let me go ahead and explain how the game basically works. So the snowball activity is a fun and interactive way to engage participants and encourage sharing. So how it works is you can either have them write something or draw something, but as we're focusing on visuals right now, I'm going to do this the drawing way, right? So step one is that each person draws a response to a specific prompt on a white piece of paper. Again, it's a snowball activity, right? So we provide them with a white piece of paper, and each student draws a response to a specific prompt. Okay. Step two would be that they crumple their paper into a snowball once they are done drawing. And they're not to write their names on these papers at all. Okay. They're not putting their names on the snowballs. They're simply drawing a response to the prompt that the teacher has provided. And then everyone stands up and I'll go ahead and count to 3 and then we'll have an actual snowball fight with paper balls, right? So everyone tosses their snowballs around the room for a minute. And then each student picks up a snowball that was tossed their way. All right. So each person picks up a random snowball, uncrumples it, looks at the picture. Then they describe the picture out loud, one at a time. And then they also have to guess who the snowball belongs to. Then the student that the snowball actually belongs to will reveal themselves. And then I actually open up the floor to my students to ask some follow-up questions. Okay. And then we move on to the next student and the next snowball. Does that make sense? It's a lot of fun if you try it out. This activity promotes interaction, builds community, and it adds an element of surprise and fun. And I'm sure if you were to simply Google it, you'll find exactly how this works. And you might also find like a video of this happening live somewhere in a classroom. But that's how I do it. And I'm going to show you a picture on the next slide, actually. So here's a picture of my students having a classroom snowball fight last week. And of course, the prompt was New Year's resolution. So I had given them some ideas before having them just, do this. Because of course, in an ESOL classroom, we always want to model first, right? So on the left side are some of the examples. And then on the right side of the screen, you see my students actually having a snowball fight in the classroom. All right. Now, my question for you is, if you gave your students this particular prompt, what type of resolutions do you think they would write or draw? Okay. Something else that is not already appearing on the screen that you can think of. If you gave your students the New Year's resolution prompt, what types of resolutions do you think they would draw or write? Speak more English, yes. Help children with homework, absolutely. Perhaps finish ESL classes and transition into the GED program, absolutely. How to remember irregular verbs, yes. Grammar, why not? Save money to buy a car, that's a good one. Time management, extremely crucial. All right, thank you guys for participating. Moving right along to the next slide here. All right, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yes or no? Can I get a yay or nay in the chat box? Of course, happy to see all the yeses there. All right. Would your students understand this quote if you were to walk into your classrooms tonight or tomorrow, and if you just projected this image, do you think they would understand what it means? Some of them would, half would, of course. Okay. No, a few, maybe, yes. Part of them, a lot of mixed responses. Okay. And that's understandable. Like quotes and idioms and things, not all of our English language learners understand them right away, right? So here's one way to make idioms or quotes fun and memorable with a drawing twist. Again, we're focusing on the visuals today here. So here's why adding pictures works wonders for our English language learners, right? So first of all, it engages all learners. So they're writing and drawing, which activates visual skills, boosts understandings. That means visualizing literal and figurative meanings, connects the words to real world use. A picture sticks in the brain longer than words alone. Drawing personalizes learning and motivates students. Pictures help students of all levels grasp complex ideas, and sharing drawings gets everyone talking and learning together. So during, say, the first few weeks of class, right? you can try an idiom like break the ice. So step 1 would be to have your students draw the literal meaning. Step 2 would be to have them draw the figurative meaning. And step 3, you would have them write a sentence using the idiom itself. Okay, so here's on the image on the left side, you're actually getting to see that example, right? What does it mean literally? What does it actually mean figuratively and literally? And then you have the definition and the sentences in the bottom as well. So these are just some ways you can use visuals to better assist your students to remember and retain information about different idioms and quotes and things like that. Has anyone done an activity like this before in their classrooms? Yes, okay, not yet. Yeah, it's definitely effective. I've tried it out. I will have my students write the definition, like the literal definition, the figurative meaning, and then have them draw both the pictures and then have them write sentences for both, and it works. So try it out and hope it works for your students as well. All right, so no matter our students' language proficiency or how long they've been in the United States, they are often familiar with logos and brands, right? So this familiarity makes logos and brands a valuable tool for teaching language and cultural understanding in an engaging way. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. Here is a simple and low pressure way to assess your students' writing skills during the first week of class. All right, so basically you can provide a worksheet with various logos and brands for students to identify. And since many students are already familiar with these logos, it creates a comfortable starting point and helps reduce the anxiety often associated with writing assignments for our adult English language learners. And it is a great way to ease them into practicing their writing skills as well. Now, why do you think students are often familiar with logos and brands? Why? Exactly, these brands are global. That's correct. These brands are recognized worldwide, right? These logos are everywhere on packaging, on ads, on clothing. Logos use visuals, making them easy to understand without language. And many brands are linked to movies, sports, or celebrities that our students already know. And students often use or see these products, making them relatable. And now I just want you to tell me yes or no. Can you name every single logo that appears on your screen right now? All of them or most of them? Not really. No, I think so. Most of them, okay. All right. And depending on the level that you teach, if you're going to be doing a simple activity like this during the first week of class, you may not necessarily even focus on the correct spelling or whatever. You just want to see if the student actually understand what the activity is and if they actually are able to, produce the words, right? So next, I am going to move on and show you yet another example. Here's another way to incorporate visuals into this activity, especially when introducing the topic of community, right? So you can use signs for students to identify and describe. This connects the activity to real-world experiences and helps students build practical language skills. Okay, so this is for that topic of community. Now, using visuals in the adult learning environment has several benefits. So, using pictures or videos enhance comprehension by simplifying concepts and breaking language barriers, right? And they boost engagement with dynamic lessons and support vocabulary development by linking words to images for faster learning. Um, Visuals also promote critical thinking, which is extremely crucial, right, in today's day and age through analysis and problem solving while building cultural awareness by reflecting diverse and real world experiences. Visuals also improve retention by aiding memory recall and accommodate multiple learning styles, catering to visual, auditory, okay, and other learning styles as well. Additionally, visuals encourage communication through discussions and group activities and increase digital literacy. That's a big one right there. And it also create visuals also create inclusive, engaging, and effective learning experiences for adult ELLs. All right, so that's why it is important that we continue using them in our lessons. So now we're going to talk about visual literacy for a minute. Why do you think is visual literacy an essential skill to have in today's day and age? Jean, thank you for sharing that. Yes, Kahoot is a great way to get our students to interact with each other, and it's a great formative assessment tool. Um, so thank you for sharing that in the chat box. We're surrounded by images. That's right. They carry a lot of information. That is correct. Yep, all of those are great answers. Thank you everyone for sharing. So here's a quick breakdown of why visual literacy is so important, right? So visual literacy is an essential skill that helps us interpret and create digital content, which is critical for today's world. So an example here would be like interpreting an infographic or creating a visually appealing presentation for a class project. All right. Now, it is critical for our English language learners because visuals bridge language gaps, making complex ideas easier to understand, right? And an example for this would be using, say, like labeled diagrams. All right. And then for the academic and professional relevance, it's a must-have for success in both school and the workplace. Workplace too, not just the classroom, right? So analyzing data from a pie chart in a business meeting or creating a visually engaging resume to apply for a job are a couple of examples that come to mind for this one here. Okay. So now let's explore how visuals enhance comprehension and again, the critical thinking skills for our students. So for the first one that reads improved understanding, what this means is that visuals break down complex concepts, making learning more accessible. Again, an example for that one I could think of is like using a diagram to teach vocabulary. For critical thinking, that simply means that analyzing visuals encourages deeper cognitive skills and reflection. And for the third one, engagement across proficiency levels, this would mean that visuals cater to all learners, promoting inclusive and active learning. Now, using labeled pictures of community places, say like a park or a library in a lesson about neighborhoods, this would help all students participate regardless of their proficiency, right? So by integrating visuals, we make learning more accessible, engaging, and thought-provoking for our students. And Rita, you're absolutely right. We remember images better than words, especially visual learners like myself. So I completely agree with that. All right, so now we're going to look at some strategies that can be easily implemented into your lessons, but let's talk about the curriculum first. Okay, in the next few slides, we'll explore how visual literacy is already part of our adult ed curriculum, and you might not even realize it, but you're already using it in some of your simple, fun classroom activities. All right, so here's the goal. Recognize how you are already incorporating visuals and visual literacy, and pick up a few fresh practical ideas to take back and try into your own classrooms. So how many of you are familiar with the English language proficiency standards for adult ed? Can I just get a yes or no in the chat box space if you are or if you aren't? Somewhat, that's fine. Yes-ish, that's okay. Acceptable answer. Not really, that's fine too. All right, so the English Language Proficiency Standards, or ELPS, for adult education promote visual literacy and encourage the use of visuals to enhance learning and communication. On this slide, you're looking at a few ways English Language Proficiency Standards support visual literacy. Okay, we're focusing on visual literacy for now with the English Language Proficiency Standards. So these standards for adult education promote visual literacy by encouraging the integration and evaluation of visual information such as charts, graphs, and multimedia. They emphasize communication, enabling learners to interpret visual, auditory, and textual content. English language proficiency standards are they also support critical thinking by developing skills to analyze visual evidence and making inferences. That's a big one on the CASA's assessment. Okay. For low literacy learners, so any of my lower level teachers, visual aids like pictures and graphic organizers provide scaffolding to simplify abstract concepts. Activities such as describing visuals and discussing diagrams enhance speaking and listening skills, while project-based learning, including posters and digital storytelling, foster visual communication. Now, these standards, they equip our learners with the skills needed not just for academic and workplace, but also for everyday success. And on the next slide, we are looking at the task areas. So task areas are the prompts that students will see during the CASAS test, mainly, whether they're graphic, written, or oral. Okay, so for reading, students might encounter forms, charts, articles, signs, labels, and diagrams, just to name a few. And for listening, they'll be working with picture prompts on the lower level assessments, and of course, comprehension questions and the next response questions. So understanding these areas will help you better prepare your students and set them up for success. So here's a simple way to use picture prompts in an adult learning environment. Okay, so, and that is through descriptive writing or speaking activities. So step one would be to choose a picture. You can select an engaging image, such as a scene from a daily life, a cultural event, or a workplace setting. All right, step two, you are going to prompt your students. Ask questions like, what do you see in this picture? What do you think is happening? How many people do you see? How would you describe this scene to someone else? So on and so forth. And here are some other things you can do, right? You can have your students write a short paragraph describing the image, focusing on vocabulary, adjectives, or complete sentences. Or you can turn this into a speaking activity where you encourage your students to share their observations or create a story about the image in pairs or groups. And this activity promotes critical thinking and helps learners build language skills in a fun, relatable way. Now, based on the two pictures that you see on your screen, what do you think the topic or the unit was about? This topic or this lesson or this unit was about based on the two pictures that you see on the screen. What do they have in common? Electronics, reading, Technology. Monica, you got it. Sherry, you got it. So these pictures are from the Prism Reading 1 book. And there is a unit in that book called Technology. And these are the pictures that were used as picture prompts for that particular unit in my class. Okay, so yes, anyone and everyone that says technology, reading, and electronics, you are all correct. Okay. And with an activity like this, I tell my students, like, I'm not looking for complete sentences, depending on what level you teach that is, right? Like if you're teaching a lower level class, then you can tell them, just give me what you see. Just tell me what you see. There's no wrong or right answers. Describe the image, describe the people, describe their actions, okay? And while I'm encouraging them to give me, different words and sentences about the image, I also remind them that focus on all those W and H questions, right? So here's the thing. I think encouraging students to focus on the W and H questions, like the who, what, when, where, why, and how, during a picture prompt activity is quite important. And that is because, think about it, it develops critical thinking, right? These questions guide our students to think deeper about the image and analyze details and make inferences. It also expands their language skills. So answering these questions helps students practice forming sentences, using vocabulary, and structuring their thoughts. And think about it, it promotes engagement, right? Last but not least, focusing on these questions makes the activity more interactive, and it also encourages curiosity. It helps our students connect the image to real life situations and understand its broader context. So for example, showing a picture of, I don't know, say a market or a store, and asking the students, who is in the picture? What are they doing? Why might they be there? These kind of questions help students build descriptive and analytical language skills. And these 2 worksheets that you see on the screen, I did not create them, so I will not take credit for them. You can simply Google something like this, and there are so many options available online. Or you can create one of your own. Another fun activity I like to do with visuals is called Think Fast. Has anyone done this, or do you know about Think Fast? Okay. All right. So Think Fast is an activity that is quick and engaging, and it boosts creativity. Creative. I need an English lesson today. Okay. So the Think Fast activity is a quick and engaging game that boosts creativity, vocabulary, and critical thinking. Here's how it works. So you're going to choose a topic, all right? Select a category such as animals, fruits, jobs, or places. Those are just examples, all right? Then you're going to set a timer. Give your students a short amount of time, say 30 seconds, to think of as many words as possible related to what they see on the screen. Okay, and after 30 seconds, you're going to remove the image from the screen. Then your students can call out their answers or write them on the board or share them in groups. The optional challenge could be, you can add a twist, such as requiring words to start with a specific letter, or you can ban repeated answers. Okay, so those are a couple other things that I've done after like the first few weeks of class. Once they really get a hang of this activity, I'll tell them, you are going to give me words that start with the letter R, for example. Okay, or you cannot repeat the words that the other pair or the other student has already provided us with. So this activity basically encourages quick thinking, active participation, and language development in a fun, low-pressure way. Now, so here's a picture, right? I would project this on the screen for about 30 seconds and then remove it. What happens next? Students describe what they saw in the image, any objects, actions, or details they remember, and students brainstorm additional words related to the image or the topic. All right. So this would also be something you can do or focus on when you're talking about like verbs, like the action words, or nouns like people, place, and things. Okay. So that's one way to do this. And now we're going to try this together. What do you think your students would notice or add? Share your thoughts in the chat. If you were to project this image in the classroom, what do you think your students are going to notice? Or what would they say? And you've looked at it enough, 30 seconds. I am going to go ahead and move on to the previous slide. But you're still focusing on the food slide, okay? So what are some of the words that your students would provide you with? Platter, snacks, round food, fries, yum. The colors, yep. Junk food versus healthy food, very good. Healthy food and junk food, that's correct. Fresh food, real meat, burgers, pizza. Yep, I think they would know a lot of the fruit and vegetables. Absolutely, Lauren. Fattening food versus low-calorie food. Yes, thank you, Jody. So you guys are all right. These are the answers you would get from your students, right? And I do have to add that when I have students work in pairs on this particular activity, they get super creative, right? So for example, one student might say, hey, you focus on the right side of the image and I'll analyze the left side. This teamwork not only boosts creativity, but also helps them break down the task together. Okay, so they get very creative with this. Like you're focusing on one side, I'm focusing on the other, or you're focusing on the top half of the picture and I'm focusing on the bottom half when they're working in pairs, right? And it's quite simple. Think about it. As an instructor, you don't necessarily have a lot of prep work. You walk into the classroom, you project an image, and they're doing most of the work here, right? And it's very fun and interactive. So that, again, is called Think Fast. Next up, headbands or charades. And I know several of you are at least familiar with this if you haven't already played it a few times. Can I get a yes or no in the chat box? Charades or headbands? Right, a lot of yeses. That's good. All right, so headbands or charades, they are both excellent visual activities for adult ELLs because, first of all, they build vocabulary, they encourage speaking practice, and they boost confidence, they foster collaboration, and they enhance, again, those critical thinking skills, right? Guessing and acting out clues encourage our students to think quickly and be more creative. So these activities combine visuals, movement, and language, making them engaging and highly effective for learning. Now, on the left side, you actually see a picture from my classroom. And yes, these are all grown adults, but they love playing the game of headbands. And it's such a great and a simple way to wake them up in the mornings as they're walking into the classroom, right? And to activate prior knowledge and all before we begin our lesson for the day. So that again is called headbands. Next up, I want to show you a quick website. It's called eslvideo.com. How many of you have used this before? All right, so I see a couple no's. So the ESL video is a free online platform which is designed to help ESOL students improve their listening, comprehension, and vocabulary skills through engaging video-based activities. All right, so it provides like you can have them watch a video, and let me see if I can. So for example, as you can see on the screen, I am on the website right now, and this is the documentary Supersize Me. So if you're talking about health or nutrition in the classroom, uh, you can certainly show your students this. This is Supersize Me in 7 minutes, so it's not too extensive. And then you would play the audio, have the students watch the video. There's also a transcript available, so the students can follow along. And once you have, done this in the classroom, um, you can wrap up the activity with a class quiz to reinforce their understanding. Now the quiz is right here as well. Okay, so we've got the video, the transcript, and the quiz. Okay. And this is just one example. There are several other clips available on this website. And if you scroll down, we have the word bank. We have a couple additional questions and activities towards the bottom. So basically, like you have a lesson or a warm-up activity ready to go for the health and nutrition topic that you're about to begin. Okay, so that's that. And I know you are all familiar with YouTube, right? So YouTube can be a hit or miss when searching for clips, but there are some real gems out there, like the examples on the screen right now. So first of all, you always want to review the content to ensure it's appropriate and that it aligns with your lessons and your curriculum, right? Second, you also want to find if you find a great video from a creator or a company, check out their channel for more content, right? And then you also want to subscribe to their channel to easily access any clips that may become available in the future. So you have fresh resources, right? So that's how I utilize YouTube. But the main thing is you always want to review the content before you project it in class. Okay. I'm going to go back to the presentation here. All right, so here are some additional ideas for active learning. So first of all, we've got visual thinking strategies. All right, so this encourages open-ended discussion about visuals to develop language and critical thinking skills. One example, again, would be showing a picture and asking your students what's happening or what do you notice. Number two, or the second bullet point here, graphic organizers. Tools like mind maps or Venn diagrams, they help organize thoughts and structure learning. So using a Venn diagram to compare and contrast two ideas such as urban and rural communities. I actually just did this in my class earlier this week. Okay. And then digital storytelling. So this combines visuals and narratives to enhance engagement and language development. Have students create a digital slideshow about their favorite place or a personal experience. That would be an example for storytelling. Now let's talk about showcasing our students' work. Now, sharing students' work, whether in classroom or online, offers so many benefits. And let me tell you why it's so powerful. First of all, it boosts confidence, right? So it validates efforts, builds self-esteem, and helps overcome self-doubt. It fosters community. It creates connections through shared experiences and peer engagement. It promotes collaboration It encourages lifelong learning. So it builds accountability, reflection, and a growth mindset. And it prepares for careers. It strengthens their presentation skills, digital literacy skills, and portfolio skills. And celebrates diversity, showcases unique voices and experiences, making learning meaningful and inclusive. All right. So now your turn. You go ahead and tell me, how do you showcase your students' work? Now, I know with some of our adult ed classes, we're sharing the classrooms with K-12 teachers during the day, and we are not necessarily able to post their work all over the walls or anything like that. So how do you get creative? How do you share your students or display their work? Share one way you've celebrated their achievements, whether it's in the classroom or if it's in an online setting. Make certificates, okay. Do presentations about something, okay. In a shared classroom, you can temporarily display items on the whiteboard tray. And you know what? That is exactly what I do. I temporarily will display my students' work or their achievement on the whiteboard while I'm in the classroom, or I also use Canvas, so I'll go ahead and post it on there too. And I'll send out announcements like, hey, great work this week, so and so, keep up the good work. Next week, I want you, and you, all of you to try. Make a class book. That's a great idea. Those were all excellent ideas. We always want to celebrate our students' achievements, right? And now, for the sake of time, we are going to be wrapping things up here in a little bit, but before you head out, we'd like to hear your thoughts. Your feedback is invaluable in helping IPDA improve and grow as we continue to bring you more high quality presentations in the new year. And just want to say thank you for sharing your input. It truly makes a difference. Also, be sure to join us for Tech Tuesday on January 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And the title of that session is What is Artificial Intelligence and How Can It Benefit Everyone in Adult Education Community? All right. You don't want to miss this one. I hope you can join us